Dear students, let us begin the third part of the lesson, in which you will learn about the testing the hypothesis for one-tailed test. One-tailed test. In a one-tailed test, it is also known as a one-sided test. The alternative hypothesis focuses on one specific direction of the effect, relationship or difference. It tests if the observed sample data falls within a specific tail of the distribution. The tail can be either the upper tail or the lower tail, depending on the research questions and the alternative hypothesis. If you look at this figure, there are p value is there, significant is there, and also critical value is also shown in the picture. Formulate the null and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis. The null hypothesis states that there is no significant difference or relationship between the variables being compared. Alternative hypothesis H1 or H alpha. The alternative hypothesis states that the specific direction of the difference or relationship that you are interested in. Specify the level of significance alpha. Determine the significance level for your test, which represents the maximum probability of making a type 1 error. Commonly used significant levels are 5% level of significance, that is 0.05, and 1% level of significance, that is 0.01. Calculate the test statistic. The choice of the test statistic depends on the specific test you are conducting. Commonly used test statistics include t statistic or Z scores. Calculate the test statistic using the appropriate formula based on your test. For example, in a one sample t test or a two sample t test, you can calculate the t statistic using the sample means, sample standard deviation, and sample sizes. Determine the critical value for one-tailed test. Look up the critical value corresponding to your chosen significant level and the appropriate distribution, whether t distribution or standard normal distribution, based on the degrees of freedom or sample size. If you are using software or statistical tables, locate the critical value associated with the desired significance level and the chosen tail of the distribution, either upper or lower. Compare the test statistic and critical value. For a one-tailed test, the critical value will be located in either the upper or lower tail of the distribution, depending on the direction specified in the alternative hypothesis. If the test statistics is greater than the critical value, you reject the null hypothesis. If the test statistics is less than the critical value, you fail to reject the null hypothesis. Determining the direction of the test. In a one-tailed test, we need to specify the direction of the difference or relationship in the alternative hypothesis H1 or H alpha. The direction can be either greater than or less than the null hypothesis. Calculating the p value. The p value is the probability of obtaining a test statistic as extreme as or more extreme than the observed value, assuming the null hypothesis is true. Calculating the p value. For a one-tailed test, the p value is calculated based on the tail corresponding to the specified direction in the alternative hypothesis. If the observed test statistic falls in the critical region, beyond the critical region, the p value will be the smaller than the chosen significant level. Making a decision. If the p value is less than the chosen significance level alpha, you reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis. If the p value is greater than or equal to the chosen significance level alpha, you fail to reject the null hypothesis. Interpretation. If we reject the null hypothesis, it suggests that there is evidence to support the alternative hypothesis in the specified direction. If we fail to reject the null hypothesis, it indicates that there is insufficient evidence to conclude a significant difference or relationship in a specified direction. Example: a researcher wants to test the hypothesis that a new drug increases the average reaction time of participants. The null hypothesis states that there is no increase in reaction time, while the alternative hypothesis states that reaction time is higher with the new drug. The researcher collects a sample of 50 participants and measures their reaction time with and without drug. So, here sample data, sample size is equal to 50, sample mean with the drug is 0.25 seconds, the sample standard deviation with the drug is 0.05 level of significance. Then step 1, define the level of significance alpha. Let us assume a significant level alpha equal to 0.05 for this example. Step 2, choose the type of test. We will use a one-tailed t-test because we are specifically interested in studying whether the reaction time is higher with the new drug. Step 3, calculate the test statistic using the formula for one sample t-test. Test statistic t, it is equal to sample mean minus hypothesized mean divided by sample standard deviation by square root of sample size. Hypothesized mean, it is equal to 0, test statistics t equal to, if we substitute all the values in the formula, we can get 3.54 is a test statistics value. Step 4, to determine the critical value, we need the degrees of freedom, which is calculated as a df equal to n minus 1, which is nothing but 49. Step 5, using a significance level alpha is equal to 0.05 and degrees of freedom, it is equal to 49. We can consult a t table or use a statistical software to find the critical value. Assuming that alpha equal 0.05, the critical value for a one-sided test with the degrees of freedom 49 is approximately equal to 1.676. Compare the test statistics with the critical value. The calculated test statistic t equal 3.54 is greater than the critical value of 1.676. Therefore, we can reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis. Based on the given data and the one-tailed t-test, there is sufficient evidence to conclude that a new drug increases the average reaction time of participants. Dear students, in this lesson we have learnt the details about the test of significance of difference between two means using null and alternative hypothesis. Also, we discussed about the concepts of constructing the test statistic and obtaining the test critical values with defined level of significance and identifying the types of test. Further, we elaborated about the test of hypothesis for one-tailed test. Dear students, I hope you understood all the concepts, and also these concepts will be very helpful to you in your research. We have completed our lesson on determining a formula for t distribution. Thank you.